Yes, the title is true. This is not a clickbait video. If you watch until the end, you will see the message that David Schwartz sent me about XRP. This is the former Ripple CTO, the guy who contributed directly to building XRP, has responded to me. We're going to get all into it today. Drop a like on the video and let's get straight into it here. David Schwartz is the CTO emeritus, which just means former CTO at Ripple and one of the original architects of the XRP ledger. Now, I've been putting out questions on my Twitter, basically trying to get some healthy debate going on. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description. And David responded directly to this. He took the time to get on his phone, go to my tweet, and actually write back his response to this. And he's been battling a few different people in the comments as well. So let's go over this. Why did he respond? So I said, why would global banks choose to use XRP and in turn potentially boost its price through the roof when Ripple holds 34 billion tokens? So just to preface this, I need you to really use your brain. I like to play devil's advocate. Have you ever heard of that? Hopefully you have. Devil's advocate is when you take the other position on purpose, no matter if you agree with it or not, to spur up healthy debate. That is what I'm doing here. So I am taking the stance of someone who doesn't like XRP and doubts it and questions it, and I'm doing that to spur up healthy debate. So if you can't grasp that concept, you need to leave the channel right now, because I do not want to work with or make content for people who don't understand that you need to question your arguments and question your positions constantly. This is our hard-earned money, and so you need to question to find the truth. So I said, why would global banks choose to use XRP and potentially boost its price through the roof when Ripple holds 34 billion tokens? If it goes to the wild prices everyone yaps about, Ripple would be the most valuable financial institution in the world. Do we really think banks want to make that happen for the Ripple's company story? Think about global banks being approached to use XRP. They will do extreme due diligence. They will do research before using a cryptocurrency asset to solve traditional banking by. They will see all of the retail holders, all of the weird riddles, all of the theories, Ripple's holdings. Do you think that they would accept the proposition to use XRP? Is the utility and benefit to them big enough to just ignore certain things? So this is a general question about Ripple's story. So imagine the Ripple Wikipedia years from now, 5 years from now. Let's say every big bank in the world adopted Ripple's technology, adopted XRP. XRP went through the roof. Could you see that on the Ripple Wikipedia page? Is that part of the story that happens? That's what I'm trying to get at with this devil's advocate question. I totally believe that every global bank could adopt this technology and XRP could easily be the global bridge currency, even in its current state, most likely. Let's read what David Schwartz said. The simplest and best answer ever. He said, yeah, this makes business sense for us to do and would make us money, but we don't want to do it because it also makes this other company money. So he is coming at the fact that through global banks adopting XRP, they would push the price through the roof and then in turn make Ripple very, very wealthy even further than they are right now. 36 billion tokens, 36.9 billion tokens is what Ripple holds. Now I'm using Claude right here to ask which three companies, Claude AI, which three companies have the biggest balance sheet on Earth? And I found out that all three are Chinese companies. The China Construction Bank has 5 trillion. The Agricultural Bank of China has 5.5 trillion. The ICBC has 6.7 trillion. Okay? So they're in the trillions. The top 3 biggest balance sheets in the world are in the trillions. And then I went and let it do me some math right here. So if the 36 billion tokens were each worth $100, they would have Ripple would be at 3.6 trillion. At $589, Ripple would hold $21 trillion worth. At $1,000, they'd hold 36 trillion. So basically, anything above $150, excuse me, anything above $150, they become one of the biggest in the world for balance sheets. They actually do become the biggest in the world for balance sheets. Now, that is absolutely insane, right? And this is why I'm telling you that stuff like this cannot happen overnight. Anyone telling you that this is going to happen overnight, you need to run very, very far away from. Nothing happens overnight. And you should know that already by all of the people who have predicted moon dates. Oh, April 31st or April 20th, 2027, XRP will be this price. It never happens. Every single moon date that was ever predicted so far was wrong. Okay? Because we're still at $1 freaking $1.30. Right? So really think about this. They would skyrocket overnight to holding some of the biggest balance sheet in the world. Now, 36.9 billion, this will go down slowly, right? It will go down. It has been going down, and it will continue to go down. And then those XRP will be allocated to different holders. So ETFs, DeFi, tokenized RWA, Treasury, burned XRP, Ripple USD, circulating supply, exchanges, etc. So that's a great response from him right there. It's not going to stop them from doing it just because Ripple would be one of the top balance sheet holders. That's what he's saying. If it makes sense for them to adopt XRP, they will adopt XRP. Okay, if it makes them money and saves them money, they're going to do it, is what he's saying. Okay, it doesn't matter who benefits. Now, I somewhat disagree with this. I would say, why would we, if I was a global bank, I'd be like, it's interesting Ripple holds that much of the supply. We're going to make them very, very rich, and maybe they will become a competitor to us or something like that. But I think by the time that this all happens, by the time we would hit $100, Ripple's balance will be, basically gone. So if we keep going, right here, David continues to battle some people in the comments here. And this guy says, is the technology still relevant in the age of stablecoins? What a great thing here, or what a great question. Because what's the point of a global bridge currency that doesn't have a stable price, right? Why wouldn't they just use a stable bridge currency that's one-to-one with certain things, right? Or one-to-one with the dollar, or one-to-one with anything. His response was, there are some cases where volatility is a huge problem, and so a stable coin is a better choice than a cryptocurrency. Similarly, there are some cases where a regulated asset with a trusted counterparty is a benefit, but cryptocurrencies have three big advantages over stablecoins. Number one, a stablecoin can only be stable with respect to one currency, and a stablecoin, exactly. So a stablecoin can only be stable against one currency, right? The US dollar, or maybe the Mexican peso, or whatever. And a stablecoin denominated in the fiat, you need it to be stable relative to, with respect to one currency and a stablecoin denominated in the fiat, you need it to be a stable relative to may not exist with the qualities you want. Applications that involve multiple jurisdictions with different native fiats don't benefit as much from the stability. A stablecoin, number two, a stablecoin can be frozen or clawed back by its issuer. Ripple, for example, cannot refuse a U.S. court order, and the U.S. courts may decide that other things matter more than you do, even if you've done nothing wrong. For example, if some country asserts that you've supported terrorism and claims secret evidence, is a U.S. court going to protect you, even if you claim that your only support for terrorism was in the form of speech criticizing that government's human rights record? Do we expect AI agents to defend themselves in courts? Do you want to have to? So he's saying stablecoins can be clawed back by the issuer. Ripple, right? So Ripple stablecoins can be clawed back by the issuer. I mean, that's kind of crazy what he's saying here. For most cryptocurrencies, most of the time, the upside is worth more than the downside. So if you don't need stability, you might prefer a cryptocurrency over a stablecoin for many applications. If I had to lock up some money in an escrow for a year, I might prefer XRP or Bitcoin instead of USD because I know USD isn't going to go up. Okay? So that is what David Schwartz said in response to this devil's advocate question here. I mean, he still technically doesn't answer certain things in this, like, you know, them seeing all these weird riddles, the theories. He's basically answering only to Ripple's holdings, okay? Not the weird riddles and the theories and fulfilling predictions, because it does get a little bit spiritual, right? It does. Is everyone who holds XRP, are we all going to see our collective manifestation realized? Because there's an expectation of profit with XRP. It's undeniable. Everyone is holding XRP because they think it will go up in the future. That is just facts, okay? Most people. Some are holding it because they want to provide liquidity and earn fees. You know, there's different reasons, but I mean, come on. The majority of retail people are holding it because it's going to go up. ETFs, same thing, go up. So it's interesting he only responded to that. And I had to put this because, dang, I am mind blown by the amount of people who cannot handle a basic devil's advocate question. You need to check yourself if you cannot handle this. I'm very serious, because it does mean something's probably wrong with your life too. And I'm not judging, but you know, you will be a better person if you can handle the devil's advocate thing. Okay, not everything has to be balls to the wall, black and white. It's this way or this way. Like, multiple things can be true at the same time. And if you need to hear brainwashing constantly for XRP, bullish only questions, you know, it's not a good sign. You might be overly emotionally attached to your investments. So that is all we've got for today's video. I appreciate all of you. Love every single one of you. Drop a like, comment. We've got links are in the description for everything, and goodbye.
We